the silent woods. When Julian Harper returned to the small town of Silver Grant after 10 long years, he felt something was off the moment he arrived. The old houses still had peeling paint. Streetlights flickered just like before, and the sign of the Lone Pine Diner still glowed. Except the letter P no longer worked. Julian came back to settle his mother's estate. She passed away suddenly, leaving him her old house at the edge of the forest. He hadn't talked to her much in recent years. Life kept pulling him from one city to another. And now, the house was all that remained. As he drove down the long forest road, the tall pine trees leaned inward, forming a dark, silent tunnel. His mother used to call this place the Silent Woods. She always said the forest listened. Back then he laughed. Now the memory made him shiver. When Julian opened the door of the house, he felt the cold stillness inside. The air smelled of old wood, dust. It was unsweet. It was dark. The lights flickered, then stayed on. Everything looked untouched. A book open on the couch. His mother's knitting. A half-finished sweater. An empty mug. But the house felt wrong. Not just quiet. Wrong. On the kitchen counter, he found a small notebook. Inside was a childlike drawing. A thin black figure standing among tall pine trees. That evening, Julian stepped into the backyard. The cold October air wrapped around him. He listened. A rustle. A soft crunch in the grass. Something moving. He raised his flashlight. Nothing. Only the trees standing too close to one another. That night he tried to sleep, but then came the tapping. Soft at first. Random. Sometimes from the wall, sometimes from the floor, sometimes from the basement. Then it became a pattern. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Pause. Like someone asking to be let in. Julian forced himself to go into the basement. A burst of freezing air hit him. Pinned to a wooden beam, he found another drawing. The same black figure. Closer now. Arms stretched out, no face. Under it were shaky letters. They are in the woods. A door slammed somewhere upstairs. The next morning, Julian visited the neighbor, Mrs. Dorothy Kerman. She opened the door immediately, almost as if she had been waiting. Julian, I wondered when you'd come. Inside, tea was already made, too prepared, too expected. Julian asked, what happened to my mom? Dorothy lowered her gaze. She said, they came back. Who's? Julian asked. The ones in the woods. Dorothy whispered. She told him his mother had been hearing voices, seeing shapes in the trees, hearing tapping on her windows at night. But the cameras recorded nothing. She stopped going out after dark, Dorothy said. She knew the woods were watching. That night, the tapping returned. Stronger. Closer. Right under his bedroom window. Julian stepped outside with a flashlight. And there, between the pines, something stood. Tall, thin, completely motionless. Hey! Julian shouted. The figure didn't move. It only tilted its head slightly, listening. Then it stepped back and vanished into the darkness. Inside the house, Julian searched everywhere. In a drawer, he found a wooden box with his mother's notes. I hear them every night. They're closer. They mimic voices. Don't open the window. If you're reading this, leave before sunset. And he smelled it again. That sweet, rotten scent. Stronger. Closer. On the floor under the locked front door lay a fresh pine branch. Inside the house. Around midnight, the tapping returned. Then came a voice. Soft. Female. Familiar. Julian, open the door. He froze. It was his mother's voice. Please, sweetheart, it's cold. Let me in. He pressed his hands to his ears, but the voice was already inside his head. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Julian grabbed his keys and ran into the night. He sprinted through the forest path. Branches clawed at his clothes. The trees whispered his name. Headlights appeared. A patrol car stopped. Sheriff Tom Bradley leaned out. Harper, what on earth are you doing out here? Julian tried to explain, but the words came out broken and terrified. The sheriff told him to get in the car. As they drove away, Julian glanced into the side mirror. Between the trees, a tall, thin figure stood watching them. At sunrise, the sheriff drove Julian back to the house. The front door was open, just slightly. Inside, everything was quiet, too quiet. On the kitchen table lay a new drawing. Fresh ink, clean paper. The black figure was standing on the front steps, right at the door. Under it was written, "It's already inside." Julian turned toward the glass cabinet door. In the reflection behind him, a tall, thin shadow stood reaching for his shoulder. The sheriff later said it happened in an instant. Julian Harper simply vanished. No struggle, no noise, no footprints, only pine needles scattered across the kitchen floor. The Harper house still stands at the edge of the silent woods, and locals say that after sunset, the forest becomes too quiet, and sometimes, if the wind is just right, you can hear 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks, followed by a soft whisper. Please, open the door.